Producer, director, actor, Hostel, Inglourious Bastards, Urban Legend. I'm a fan favorite. Cabin Fever.
God, yes.
Thanksgiving. It is the extremely talented and kind of twisted Eli Roth. Good morning, Eli.
Hey, good morning, Jason. That was quite an intro. Thank you.
Yeah. What's wrong with you? I love you to death, but I mean, like, just let's take Hostel, for example. Let's talk about your upbringing. Like, what went wrong? Like, no normal person thinks of this stuff, my friend.
I think we all think of this stuff. I'm just the only one that actually takes it to the extreme of putting it into a movie.
Very true. Touche.
Trust me, everyone says, I would never think of something like that. Yeah, well, wait till someone cuts you off in traffic or takes your parking space at Whole Foods. Then you're coming up with 600 ways to kill someone instantly. It's in all of us. So I love it. It's my sense of humor. I love horror movies, and I always, felt like they were kind of the bastard stepchild genre that was never taken seriously in certain ways, and I just wanted to. I liked making the gross joke or doing something that was totally shocking and fun, and then I liked being the outrageous one. And I've been lucky enough to be able to make a career out of it. And now that Thanksgiving's out on Blu-ray and DVD today, so people can watch it in their own homes.
Yeah, and with Thanksgiving, just kind of like Hostel, I guess, or even Urban Legend and those types of movies that you've done is I'm a Gen Xer. I think we're probably around the same age. So like I'm a product of the kind of fun horror movies. Some of these newer horror flicks like Funny Games and stuff, the Home Invasion, the ones that are too real, the psychological thrillers, not a fan. But what you do is you take like kind of the teen slasher. I hope this isn't disrespectful, but you take like the teen slasher up a notch where it's kind of real, but you're not overly scared to the point where you're not going to be able to sleep and you're mad at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, look, there's certain types of movies. Like with Hostel, it's an endurance test. It's like I dare you to sit through this whole movie, and I'm trying to like push it and push it and push it farther and farther. And that's the fun of it. Is I want people warned like you can't take this movie. Don't go see it. Don't go see it. But for there's a certain type of slasher movie. The slasher movies are fun. The kills are great. You have a good time. You're engaged in guessing who the killer is. It's one of those whodunit slashers. But specifically the holiday slasher films, My Bloody Valentine, Silent Night, Deadly Night. I remember when I saw, Halloween, when I saw Silent Night, Deadly Night as a kid, and the kid was sledding and he got decapitated, and the headless body goes on the sled with a head rolling next to him. I was gleeful and I'd laughed harder than anything I'd ever seen. I stood up in the theater screaming and cheering with my arms up. I was elated. And so I want to give audiences that feeling. So I want the movie to be a real, not quote-unquote serious scary movie, but a real film where the characters don't know they're in a horror movie. Nothing's ironic. Nothing's a joke. It's a proper slasher film. Mm-hmm. But I want to have fun. I mean, part of the fun of these movies is you get to see crazy stuff that you've never seen before. So, we take, the woman at the diner, her face, the killer puts her head in, a wet sink and then opens the freezer door and sticks her face on the freezer while he just casually goes to get the axe. And she's stuck like the kid in, Christmas Story. And then she last second rips her fingertips and face off. But then she goes, and I was like, well, what would you do next? You try to use your cell phone. Well, you couldn't open your phone if your fingertips were gone and you were smudging blood all over your screen.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, well, wait a minute. Then she says, okay, she used her face. Well, if half her face is ripped off, her phone doesn't recognize her. So it's making it real,
right.
But doing that stuff is like, that's just kind of where my brain goes, but playing it totally straight. So the audience is losing their mind because they're like, use your phone. Oh, no, she has no face. Like, and people are like screaming and cheering in their seats. And that's the fun. Is look, I mean, crazy enough, they actually re-released the movie in 500 theaters last weekend. It's in theaters now, playing at late shows.
Yeah.
So you can go see it with a crowd in the theaters. That's never happened to me before. But the movie was so much fun. I wanted to have a movie, like you said, I didn't want it to be oppressive. I didn't want the audience to feel tricked. That's just not the spirit of this film. There's some movies that do it, and people go for that, but like, this isn't that movie. I want people to have a great time with this one.
And the thing also with Thanksgiving, Eli, is that, and you can see this in the trailer, but most of us grew up using, is those little corn cob handles, and they're like little baby corn cobs. And the girl's doing the Q-tip thing, and the bad guy comes up and puts it, and then there's the close-up of the corn cob handle on the ground. I'm like, you know what? It's funny you say that at the beginning of this conversation, Eli, because as a kid, I was like, I wonder if I could put that in my ear. So this answers the question.
We all think that.
No, don't put that in your ear.
No, not at all.
A sick and twisted instinct. You're just like, you just think that stuff. It's just like, I'm not supposed to think that, but I kind of am. Like, could you? Yeah, you could. Oh, that'd be awful.
Right.
We've all got that, it's like an Evil Dead. The pencil in the ankle is the worst thing. Like, no one knows what it feels like to be decapitated, but we all know what it feels like to get stuck with a pencil. So doing those kinds of things, like, it's also the perversity of taking something that's used to protect your fingers. Like, oh, those things keep you safe from getting burned.
Right.
And now we're taking it and we're actually using them to stick in your ears. It's just like the way you'd stick them into a corn cob.
Right.
It's just taking all of the classic Thanksgiving tropes and Thanksgiving things and twisting them on their head. That's the fun.
That poor girl.
The fun part about making a movie like this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she did a great job, Jenna Warren.
Yeah.
She was really fantastic. Such a good. It's a fantastic scene. And it's always the simple stuff like that. You think about. That's the great thing with the horror films. You can do it low budget. These movies that can spend hundreds and millions of dollars and just on special effects and just be so boring. And then it's like corn cob in the ears. Every time you do that now, for the rest of your life, you're going to laugh.
Right.
Yeah. About that girl from Thanksgiving. Everybody at their dinner, when they do the corn cob, will be thinking imitating the scene. It's just, that's the fun of these movies, is that the experience just stays with you.
And Thanksgiving today, Blu-ray, DVD, like Eli was saying, back in theaters too. I mean, did well at the box office when it came out. You got over $40 million, I think, just in U.S. sales. So that's good. Hey, before, I know I only have some amount of time, but I got to ask you about Borderlands, because that's what your next project, right?
Yeah, they've actually asked me to hold off, because Borderlands, I'm so excited to talk about it, but it's coming out in August, so they've asked me to hold off on talking about Borderlands for now.
Okay. Well, so how about I do this and kind of wrap it all back around with a lot of stuff you do. You're very, I made this comparison earlier when I was telling my audience that you're coming on. You're kind of like the Adam Sandler of horror, is that you use a lot of the same cast members. Like, I love that you use Rick Hoffman. I think he is phenomenal. Like,
love him.
That dude.
National treasure.
That I agree with you. He's like a Paul Giamatti, right? He's like, it's just something about him that stands out. But Gina Gershon, you use all the time. Love her, way hot, right? So a lot of these actors and actresses that you use, that's like that's your roster. You use them for most of your stuff, right?
Well, whenever you work with someone like a Rick Hoffman who came in on Hostel, and when someone walks in and they're in the movie for 5 minutes and you never forget them, those are the people you want to work with again and again and again. And they're nice and they're cool and they're fun. Like, I like that my movies have a certain roster of characters, in the way that, like, I became part of Tarantino's world. Or you can see that certain people that he would use over, like the way he uses Tim Roth in all of his films. So it's fun. Or Michael Madsen. Like, I like that when you go to see a certain director and they have their actors that they like, that's part of their gang. I always wanted to, like, with each project, whether it's Jay Hernandez or whoever, like, someone that you kind of pick up. You're like, oh, I love that person. I love working with them. And also kind of, them, so there's just something that people haven't seen before from them. And, look, Rick, we got really lucky, and Gina's like, I always wanted to be in a horror film. Let's do it. So once you have that relationship with them, you can just, you're always writing it in mind, going, okay, I just want to go and make a movie with people I really like, that are amazing, I want to see them do great things, and it's fun. It feels like one of my movies. It sort of has my personality and my taste.
Yeah. Also, Patrick Dempsey in Thanksgiving, as to the top off a great cast. With Adam Sandler, he was supposed to be the Bear Jew in Inglourious Bastards, right? And then you stepped in. Is that how the story goes?
No, I think when Quentin first wrote it, he had Adam in mind. By the time he got around to making it, he had me in mind. So.
Oh, okay. So Eli Roth, Open Carrot, Adam Sandler, Inglourious Bastards. We got the story. Nelson, you got the story wrong.
Yeah, well, I had always heard that he had contractual obligations that kept him from doing it, and that Eli stepped in. And honestly, I mean, I'm not just giving you lip service because you're here. I can't imagine Sandler playing the role the way that you had done it.
I love Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler is one of my all-time favorites. And when I was making Hostel, Quentin told me about Sandler doing it, and I was like, that is absolutely, absolutely genius. And then Quentin said he wanted me to do it. Whatever went on behind the scenes, I was not part of that. But I remember, when Quentin asked me to do it, it was going to be one of the biggest opportunities in my life, and I took it very seriously, and I'm forever grateful. It's something I'm really proud of.
Nelson,
and then, we did Grindhouse together, which led to Thanksgiving and the trailer and the movie, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right. Because the Grindhouse was like the mock trailer that led to. That's always cool too. When there's like this neat backstory with this kind of stuff. There's a whole internet history behind most not only your movies, Eli, but like even Quentin Tarantino. He's always got the Easter eggs in the different movies. You go to Pulp Fiction and the clocks and those types of things. A quick question, Nelson, for Eli before we have to let him go.
Yeah, specifically going back to like Rick Hoffman and everything. The way you portray him and his acting ability in Hostel is so awful. Like I can't even watch him in Suits, right? So like, are you a Tarantino type writer and director, and like, is everything I wrote it, so this is what you're doing, or is a lot of that being exuded by the actors? Do they have room to play?
They always have room to play. I mean, generally the first time I want it to be exactly what we wrote, but I like to rehearse a little bit. I don't want to rehearse it to death, but you're casting that person for a reason. So like Rick Hoffman, he'll say what's on script, but he's so funny and so smart that you cast him because you kind of want to let him go and just see what he's going to do. And there were certain takes, and in fact, on the Blu-ray, there's a whole kind of outtake scene, and most of it's Rick, because he just would come up with stuff that's so insane and absurd and just like random things and throwing stuff out there that's the fun. I mean, you don't always have time to do that. Like Patrick Dempsey is a guy who like goes on script and nails it. He's so fantastic that you kind of don't need to, but sometimes we'll go, I kind of want to feel like this. Should I do it like that? Should I, like with Patrick, just the look in his face, the look in his eyes, he's so good. He doesn't need to say everything, but Rick, he's like the person, he's talking. You go, okay, Rick, we got one. Let's pull it back. But that's the fun. It's like, you know those guys, and then you can always do the one take where they like go crazy and you let them have that. And then if there's good stuff there, you use it in editing. And if it's not, you just, as long as I get what it's written, then I'm like happy to let them go and have fun, because I want to see what they're going to do. They're going to come up with something you could never come up with. Yeah. And sometimes it fits and sometimes it doesn't. But that's the joy of having a Rick Hoffman in your movie. It's like, why would you cast him just to read what you wrote? Part of the fun is Rick, just going insane.
He's one of, I'm a big Law & Order SVU guy, and one of my favorite episodes is the one that he stars in where he's the sports agent and whatnot. Anyway, all right, Art's telling me to let you go. I got to let you go. Thanksgiving, Blu-ray, DVD, digital, all out today. Back in theaters if you want to go see it. Awesome little Thrasher movie. Patrick Dempsey, Gina Gershon, Rick Hoffman. The cast is great. Hopefully you'll be back on when we can talk about Badlands and more. But we do appreciate your time. Thanks, Eli.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right, take care. We'll see you. Eli Roth.